26 December 1949. Dr. Rangavacharya came today, saw the Maharshi, and had a talk with the homeopath, after which he left back for Madras. From yesterday, Maharshi started eating rice without discomfort. Evening and morning darshan continues, now increased to 1 hour each time. 2nd January 1950. At about 9 o'clock last night, Sri Maharshi quietly slipped out of the dispensary to his tiny bedroom, where he spent the night. Today, instead of going to the darshan hall as before, he ordered his sofa to be placed outside his small room in the passage, and gave darshan from 9 to 10 a.m., and again from 5 to 6 p.m., without the usual Veda chanting. In the evening, the attendance was heavy, as devotees began to collect for Maharshi's birthday, which this year falls on the 5th. All the wide verandas and spaces facing the Maharshi were packed, which made meditation there very difficult. The squeeze was such that the overflow of lady devotees had to seek sitting accommodation down below in the coconut grove, from where they could see Sri Bhagavan. The master appears weak and strained from moving up and down the sofa. 3 attendants have to support him from the breeches so that the left hand may not move nor be touched. Yet he struggles hard to push himself through the very narrow space between the wall and the sofa and to and from the bedroom. 5th January. Today is Jayanti, Sri Maharshi's 70th birthday. It has been rumored that the Sarvadakari is going to request him to go to the big hall for the celebration and the chanting on account of the great gathering of devotees. We were worried over it, fearing lest the crossing of the forbidding threshold should prove the last straw. But to our relief, we found him this morning giving darshan in the usual passage. He sat from 9 to 10:30 when the arati was brought out. For the first time in the history of the ashram, Maharshi today did not have his Jayanti meal along with the devotees. His stiff knees did not permit him to squat on the floor. Secondly, he was on a special diet, free from chilies and tamarind and garlic and onions and such things, as ordered by the homeopath. In the afternoon, he gave darshan from 3 to 6, 2 hours longer than usual, in order not to disappoint the sadhakas who had come from long distances. 8th January. Sri Maharshi's health is reported to be well enough to justify an increase by half an hour in the darshan time on 1.5 hours twice a day from tomorrow onwards. He was rather ruffled this afternoon by a small incident when he found himself left alone in the bathroom with none by his side to help him. He came out and rebuked the attendants for showing diligent attention to his person in the presence of others, whereas in private they abandoned him and asked them not to crowd around him any more for this show. Old disciples knew that he did not mean to deny the complete devotion and the ungrudging service they all gave to his beloved person, but simply intended to keep them on their toes. 20th January, 1950. The Veda Parayanam, which stopped on the 19th December, started again today, not near the Maharshi as before, but inside the temple, the sound of which reached us on the east veranda where we faced the Maharshi. 8th February, 1950. The homeopathic treatment is continuing with puja in the 30th potency, followed by nux vomica for costiveness. Since the 6th, a single dose of puja was given to Maharshi, a 3rd dose every morning, the last of which today. Since yesterday, he has been feeling some discomfort near as well as some thickening of the flesh around the wound, which frightened the authorities, but which the homeopath declared to be an aggravation from the high-power dose, which would disappear within a week. The Sarvadakari asked the English disciple, who had led the clamorers for homeopathy, to be present henceforward at the dressing every morning. 12th February, 1950. General Basha, the Surgeon General of Madras State, who came on inspection duty to Tiruvannamalai, called at the ashram at about 10 a.m. at the request of a friend and saw the wound. He did not like the swelling and recommended penicillin, which he thought would dissipate it if it were an inflammatory process. He said, "At any rate, we should know what it is." Dr. Shankar Rao, the attendant physician, appraised the homeopath in charge of the case of the general's advice, but the homeopath turned it down on the ground that it might be an aggravation from his dose of the fuja, which must not be interfered with. 14th February. A new growth is now appreciably perceptible just below the spot operated on the 19th December, which the homeopath persists in diagnosing as a swelling due to his strong dose, and will soon subside, leading to complete cure. The homeopath will leave on the 16th to the hills and will keep a homeopathic friend to look after the case. 15th February. Dr. Raghavacharya came before noon, closely examined the new swelling, and declared it to be the sarcoma again. The pain was greatly increased, so much so that the slightest touch of the hand causes Maharshi to wince. A conference of the doctors and the Sarvadakari and some devotees was called in, which the attention was drawn to the surgeon's verdict. Whilst not denying the reappearance, they reiterated his faith in a possible cure if the homeopathy were allowed to continue. A second conference was held in the evening, which also ended inconclusively. 17th February. Before the homeopath left yesterday, a Mr. R. Iyer, the succeeding homeopath, started his treatment with one dose of silica 300, to be repeated once a day. 25th February, 1950. Yesterday, homeopathy was declared a failure and altogether stopped. The Malabari Vajja, the doctor of Unani medicine, who had been called and had arrived on the 21st, immediately took charge and started with an external application, followed by a laxative. Dr. Shankar Rao remained the attending physician. He proved extremely valuable in cooperating with any system of medicine and with any doctor appointed by the ashram authorities. He does his work with genuine humility, utter devotion, and calmness. 27th February. The tumor started bleeding, which the new doctor ascribed to his medicines, driving out all the morbid matter from Bhagavan's system. 6th March. Sri Bhagavan's health is visibly deteriorating. 14th March. The tumor has rapidly increased in size and the pain in severity. Although the new homeopath continues to treat, he has admitted his failure to cure or even to alleviate the pain. Dr. Shankar Rao has given an anodyne to relieve the pain. The blood test taken 2 days ago showed only 58% of the hemoglobins, indicating severe anemia. But with all this, Sri Bhagavan's face remains bright, calm, and serene. Not a sigh, not a grimace of suffering, not a shadow of fear or restlessness mars the repose of his countenance or the luster of his eyes. He remains in his usual splendor, poise, and grace. Even the peace which has all along radiated from him continues to be powerfully felt. A newcomer looking at him would not suspect that such a virulent disease was inside that graceful body, sapping its life away by the minute.